morning and welcome to a Vicar's Devotional. I'm your Vicar, Mother Sandy, and it is Tuesday morning. What is this, February 18th? Ooh, this year is just going by. I feel like every year just goes by. Anyway, weekly on Tuesdays, I take some time out and I reflect on one of the lectionary office readings, the daily office. Typically, I stay with the gospel. Sometimes I might go with the Old Testament or the Psalm, but usually it's the gospel. This morning is no different. Our devotional today is taken from the Gospel of Mark, and it's chapter 11, verses 12 through 26. And so we have the Gospel of Mark. On the following day, when they came from Bethany, he was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to see whether perhaps he would find anything on it. When he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. He said to it, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard it. Then they came to Jerusalem, and he entered the temple and began to drive out those who were selling and those who were buying in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. And he would not allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. He was teaching and saying, "Is it not written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations,' but you have made it into a den of robbers." And when the chief priests and the scribes heard it, they kept looking for a way to kill him, for they were afraid of him because the whole crowd was spellbound by his teaching. And when evening came, Jesus and his disciples went out of the city. In the morning they passed by, they saw the fig tree withered away to its roots. Then Peter remembered and said to him, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree that you have cursed has withered." Jesus answered them, "Have faith in God. Truly I tell you, if you say to this mountain, 'Be taken up and thrown into the sea,' and if you do not doubt in your heart, but believe that what you say will come to pass, it will be done for you. So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father in heaven may also forgive your trespasses." This is the gospel of the Lord. There's a lot. There's always a lot. But I think for today, what I am hearing in this reading, you ready? Don't do anything to hold anyone back. You know, we hear in scripture a lot not to be a stumbling block. I think might need coffee, but don't be a stumbling block. When we live our lives, we want to live our lives in such a way that invites others into a relationship with Jesus Christ. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? It sounds simple enough. But is it? In the world that we're living in, is it? When we get very, I almost want to say territorial in how we allow others to access Jesus Christ, are we inviting them in? If I'm saying you can only access Jesus Christ through super high liturgy, or only really low liturgy, well, broad church, um, casual, put a stage up with a microphone, you got someone preaching, if that's the only way to do it, right? Am I inviting people in, or am I really trying to control access? So I guess the not being a stumbling block, not keeping someone from accessing Jesus, it's more, are we, I think I lost my train of thought. It's we don't want people to see us. We want people to see Jesus. And if you look at verses 15, and then it goes to verses 19, and that's the driving people out of the temple. The reason Jesus had feelings is because in that time, there was the temple tax, right? To make an offering, to buy the doves or pigeons or whatever you were going to buy for a sacrifice, you had to use a specific type of coin. You couldn't just use the money in your pocket. If you don't have a lot of money, you already have to exchange it. You know there's going to be an exchange rate. you're creating barriers. And so these folks that were coming in to make their sacrifice to practice their faith were given a barrier that was based on economic status. There were already different sacrifices, whether it was a dove or if it was a lamb, based on what you could afford. And not only that, but the temple had become a place for merchants because it was the pass through. And so the reverence, the sacredness is being held in control. People were not including everyone. And when I say not including everyone, it's not inviting everyone to the table. If you come into the Episcopal Church, everyone is invited to the table. Now, if you're baptized, you can receive communion. If you're not baptized, you receive a blessing. Everyone is welcome to the table. And if you haven't been baptized, we want you in the family. The invitation to be baptized, to be a part of the Christian family, is there. The invitation is open to all. There are no barriers. The invitation to go deeper is there. And it's beautiful. It's sacred. And I think the not being a stumbling block is being cognizant of the reverence of where we're at. And so when you are turning it into a store, when you are, you've got money changers, when you've got folks who are selling things for sacrifices, you're forgetting the reverence. If you go into a church today and things aren't cared for, we have forgotten the reverence. And, I I know folks who have gone into churches and they've seen things tarnished or not clean or just not properly loved. And that's been a stumbling block for them. That has distracted them from their worship because their first question is, why am I taking time out of my day if you don't, as someone who is supposed to be a follower, you don't take time out to show love and care for the things that you consider holy? Why do I consider it holy then? Living lives as invitations to Christ is our call. It's our challenge. We want to produce fruit regardless of what season it is. Because the closer we are with Christ, we can't help but produce fruit, unlike the fig tree. Now, I have a friend who made a joke and said something akin to, why does Jesus hate figs? Why does Jesus hate fig trees? And he doesn't. I mean, there are some scriptures where, he gets salty at the fig trees. But he doesn't hate fig trees. But it is about living our lives in such a way that the fruit invites others into a relationship with Christ. We're not money changers. We're not selling doves. We're not gatekeepers. Everyone is invited to the table of Christ. Everyone. Come for a blessing. Come for a blessing. And when you're ready to make the commitment to be a Christian and a part of the family, we will get you baptized, the forgiveness of sins, the initiation into the family of God. And part of our baptismal covenant says that we will see the dignity of all human beings. And that's the invitation. I see you. I hear you. I invite you. So today, on this February 18th, see those around you for the child of God, children of God that they are. And if they don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, invite them in. Allow your lives to be in such congruence with the life of Christ, with who Jesus is, so that they want to know him too. He came for all, not just the select, but he came for all. And so our lives are lives of invitation for all. That's what it means to not be a stumbling block. That's what it means to not create barriers around Jesus Christ. Have a beautiful day. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share this. It is good for me just to have that moment in the morning to spend time with God, to reflect on the gospel and what it means for me. And so today, my prayer for myself and for all of us is that our lives invite others into a relationship with Jesus Christ. There is no other way. That is the best way. It is the only way. Have a beautiful day. I will see you next week, and know that you are loved.